Whenever I think GameCube, I think Luigi's Mansion. I'd been reading about it for months. I'd read the articles to my parents, letting them know just how much I wanted it without directly begging for it. You know, the smart way. And it seemed like the Ghostbusters game I always wanted, with the fight scene from Casper thrown in. So, early 2002, my mum picks me up from school with the GameCube in the back with Luigi's Mansion. And it had such an impact on me that I'm still talking about it 17 years later. Then Nintendo releases the Wii, and at first I thought it was a cruel joke. It's like they made a console for people that used to make fun of us for playing video games. I mean, look at these two. Never beat a boss in their life. So we went from the GameCube and Game Boy Advance to the Wii and DS. And in the UK, Wii sounded especially stupid, because in the UK, Wii means something completely different. It's like they might as well have called it the Nintendo P. And as for the DS, I still don't know what it stands for. So me and Nintendo parted ways. That was until E3 2011, when they announced Luigi's Mansion 2 for the 3DS. And my hands were tied. I got this magazine with a Luigi's Mansion 2 sticker sheet because I'm really cool. And my 3DS just became my Luigi's Mansion 2 player. Then Nintendo released the Wii U, which I bought into. I liked how they went back to a more traditional controller, and I thought Luigi's Mansion 3 was on its way. I thought you could use the gamepad to look for ghosts and boos. I thought Luigi could have his own gamepad in the game. I thought it was perfect. But then I realised I was the only one that bought the thing and Nintendo dropped it like hot shoes! Which leads us to the Nintendo Switch. I watched the trailer of a bunch of beautiful people having a roof party, probably cooking vegan sausages and listening to Sia, and I found myself thinking the same thing I thought when I watched the Wii trailer. This isn't gaming! Gaming to me is on the day of release, you put on your Sunday best, you cast a transportation spell to the nearest shop, promptly return, and send out an owl letting your friends and family know that if they so much as knock on your door, you'll spell them so hard they'll be crapping magic for a week. Then I saw Nintendo's 2018 September Direct. Needless to say, I became one of the faithful, and Mario Odyssey blew me away. Super Mario Bros. Was the first game I ever played. The NES was the first console I ever owned. Super Mario 64 is my favourite game of all time. So being a 90s kid and loving Nintendo and dinosaurs, what do you think I thought when I saw this? Now this is Nintendo. And I'm not going to lie, the festival stage left me in a pile of nostalgic goo on the floor. And speaking of goo, let's see if Luigi's Mansion 3 was worth waiting 17 years for, and if it's the best game on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm going to start with the graphics and presentation, and the best way I can describe it is a Disney Pixar production, but a video game. Just look at it. In fact, I don't think Disney or Pixar have even made anything with this much character for well over a decade. Every frame has had so much care and thought put into it that it just elevates the whole atmosphere of the game. Even the generic Casper-inspired ghosts seem to have more personality this time around. I don't know why, but I found that really funny. Hearing Mario and Luigi say goodnight to each other made my heart grow 3 sizes.
Night night. Night night.
I'm feeling...
And seeing and hearing Egad for the first time on the big screen after all these years rendered me catatonic. Watching him run put the biggest smile on my face. So did this. I could have done this for hours. Even Luigi, who is just a big pile of jelly, seems to be stupidly lovable. Nothing seems one-dimensional. Everyone and everything has multiple layers to them. And the star of the show, Luigi, who is essentially the Shaggy of the Nintendo Scooby Gang, just brings everything together. His scaredy-cat nature was what we all originally fell in love with back in 2002. It made him seem more relatable than Mario. Being afraid yet still having the courage to put one foot in front of the other is the main motif of the Luigi's Mansion series. I loved all the visual references like the Jurassic Park mosquito, Aladdin's lamp, the Ghostbusters staircase, Little Mac's gloves, Luigi's Mansion 2 Easter eggs, all the footballs referencing the Mario Striker series, and many more. All the levels are themed, which makes you really excited to see what's coming up next. Even the elevator hands are themed, giving you a quick clue as to what the theme of the level is, which is something they didn't have to do, but they did. And that mentality runs through the entire game. Just like the original, something as mundane as a bathroom can grab your attention for far longer than it should. Looking around Egad's bathroom, you find a little box of gadgets and one of his little lab coats hanging up. And it's these little details that bring the hotel to life. I like how they use the Virtual Boy, or Virtual Boo, as a means of communication with Egad. I like how Luigi brings it up to his face before you go into the Virtual Boo screen. Again, something they didn't have to do, but they did. And the Virtual Boo screen is in red and black, just like the Virtual Boy. I am shocked that this game is on the Nintendo Pop-Tart. How is this possible? It runs at 1080p, 30 frames per second in docked mode, which is fine as it is a slower paced game, but if the rumoured more powerful Switch comes out and can run it at 60 frames per second, this game would really come alive. But regardless, this is the best looking game I've played on the Switch, hands down, so as far as graphics and presentation go, I'm going to give it a 10.
No.
Moving on to the story, you get an invitation from Helen Gravely to come and stay at the Last Resort Hotel. That's it, and that's all you need. You're awoken by Peach's scream, and you quickly realise the whole thing was a ruse to lure you all here to be framed. Luigi, being the only one to evade capture, sets out reluctantly to come to the rescue. Classic. The story does what it needs to do in true Nintendo style, and I don't want to let its simplicity affect my overall score of the game. It certainly didn't affect Super Mario Odyssey's scores, so why should it affect Luigi's Mansion 3? But that might just be my inner fanboy speaking. The music is completely enchanting and would fit in with any Pixar or 90s kids movie. I especially love the music that kicks in after you clear a floor and the lights go up and Luigi does his little victory walk back to the elevator. Take a listen. The voice acting and sound effects are second to none also. Whether you're kicking a pizza box along the floor, dragging a ceramic pot, or knocking over a chair, everything has a convincing sound effect. The ghost voice have a charmingly unnatural tone, which really adds to their character and makes them all the more fun to catch as you hear them scream. And the toads just sound like Huey, Dewey and Louie. Love it. But let's get to the meat and potatoes, the gameplay. Now nearly everything in this game can be interacted with in some way, which is how a Luigi's Mansion game should be. And the new Poltergust goo is your first item you'll turn to, and it's never felt so satisfying. Sucking up shelves full of items and stacks of cash just doesn't get old. Using the Poltergust to manipulate the environment to solve all sorts of puzzles is genuinely addictive, and that's before you even start using the suction shot. Because apparently this game wasn't like that one scene from Casper enough. For instance, here I am in a bathroom. I see there's a pile of leaves in the bath, obviously hiding something, and hoovering them isn't working. Then I notice that the bath is damaged, indicating it might be breakable. Then I see this pot. I wonder if I can use the suction shot to drag it over to the bath and smash it. And it's that perfect gaming loop of discovery, confusion, idea, solution that makes Luigi's Mansion 3 impossible to put down. And in every room of this game you'll find yourself going through that same process. You can also slam ghosts to capture them quicker or incapacitate other ghosts trying to attack, which I thought I wouldn't like, but it adds another fun element to the combat. Luigi now has a burst jump, which is used to dodge attacks, push back enemies if it gets too crowded, and like every other mechanic, it's used to solve puzzles. But the biggest change to the gameplay comes in the form of Professor Egad's latest invention, Luigi, who was created by converting Luigi's biological data into an electrical signal and adding a splash of goo. Man, I love Egad. And a quick side note, why isn't he in Super Smash? With all the crap that's on there like Lucario and Greninja, Gen 1 for the win, am I right? About 70 anime characters that all look the bloody same, and the Wii Fit trainer. Even Banjo and Kazooie was added to Smash before Egad. If you told me 10 years ago that Banjo and Kazooie would be added to Smash before Egad, I'd have called you a madman. Yet, here we are. Get him in. Okay, rant over. Back to Luigi. Now, when I first heard about Luigi, I was worried. I thought Nintendo was going to turn Luigi's Mansion into a party game or something. But all he does is add another enjoyable way you can interact with the surroundings, and adds another layer to the puzzle solving. Like here, for example, where I rolled this carpet back to reveal a vent for Luigi to slip through, or here where I needed a bit more firepower to clear the smoke, or using him to T-1000 through a mesh gate. Luigi's a pretty good mechanic and works well with the game's less claustrophobic level design. You use your flashlight in much the same way as the previous games, stunning the ghosts, allowing them to be captured, and the dark light reveals hidden pathways or objects. All these things combine to create a truly fun and interesting game from start to finish. Apart from level B2, I hated it. It felt like a way to shoehorn in a two-player stage, and is what I feared the entire game being when I first heard it had co-op. But thankfully, it doesn't last long, and is followed by one of the best flaws in the game. I think collecting elevator buttons as a way of progressing through the hotel is genius. The game has a perfect amount of collectibles and secrets, and the biggest and best thing about 3 is that it brought the boss ghosts back. And I enjoyed every single boss fight, apart from B2. Ugh. As for the controls, I only use the Pro Controller because I cannot stand the nin nipples. No thank you. And for some reason, the game tells you to use A and Y for your flashlight and suction shot instead of the L and R shoulder buttons, which work far better because it allows you to use your right analog stick whilst charging your flashlight or readying your suction shot. So remember to use the shoulder buttons if you want the best, less cumbersome experience. And I was pleased to find that Luigi has a nice walk to run progression, which for gamers like me, who like to savour every moment, makes all the difference, and is the one advantage controllers have over mouse and keyboard. Look at this. This isn't a cutscene. This is me playing the game. Look at his walk animations. Look at his little gumshoes. Look at the poltergust cord bouncing. Look at his reflection in the floor. Look at his little worried face as I make him slowly turn around. It really makes you feel like you're guiding him through this adventure. This is the care and attention to detail Luigi's Mansion deserves. Bloody cosmic. We even get the Call for Mario button.
Mario.
Bliss. I never thought Luigi's Mansion 3 would live up to my expectations, but I'm pleased to say it has. Not only is it the best looking game on the Switch, but I think it's the best game on the system so far. Where does the series go from here? Luigi's Museum? Maybe Luigi gets a job as a night watchman and a bunch of artifacts get stolen and Luigi has to travel around the world with EGAD collecting them? Or how about Luigi's Paranormal Investigations? It could take place in New Donk City and go full Ghostbusters. Mayor Pauline tells you about a spike in paranormal activity and it's up to Luigi to get to the bottom of it. You could even give Luigi his own version of the Ecto-1 and have him drive all around the city to different locations, to something as simple as a woman being haunted in her apartment to a more open stage like the library or a gallery. And EGAD would basically just be Janine.
We got one!
I don't know, but it's nice to know that the series is in the right hands and Luigi's Mansion 3 will definitely help the next 17 years go by easier. And I'm going to give Luigi's Mansion 3 a 10 out of 10. I don't think one bad level should ruin a game, just as one bad song shouldn't ruin an album. Now, I'm not a Nintendo fanboy, I haven't been since the Cube, but I am a Luigi's Mansion fanboy, so I am admitting my bias there. But watching the younger members of my family play this, and how it's completely left them spellbound, reminded me of how the original made me feel. So, it's nice to see that tradition is carried on with Luigi's Mansion 3. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hasta la vista.